unique position where you're available on multiple platforms. So for seniors who might not necessarily be open to the concept of VR, they certainly have an iPhone or a smartphone. I know you're only available on iOS, but with a computer, it would be wonderful.
Yes, thank you. I heard Skip and Steve.
Skip, go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, I think you bring up a really important point that this is not just for 20-somethings. Certainly, as I know from experience, becoming slowly into the older adult cohort, that problems in living do not just go away. Maybe we can deal with some of them better, but as you get older, there are different challenges that you face. And having a group you can talk to, and not only talk about the challenges you're facing, but have a shared experience based on a generational familiarity where you can talk about the good things. And so, I mean, I find myself talking about 70s music, on places like this, that maybe I wouldn't be able to find somebody that I could talk to about that. But I mean, the good and the bad, I think it's a great opportunity. And this shouldn't be viewed as technology only for the young. This is a transformational, intergenerational approach here. And I think it has a lot of value across the full age span.
And Charlie, this is Steve. I have to ask, you're 73, I'm 74. What become seniors?
Good question. Age is just a number, and as they say, mine is unlisted.
There you go. Allman Brothers Band all the way. Right,
yeah.
Skip?
Whip and pose.
There you go.
it's also interesting because if you look around the room, you can't tell what age everybody here is. And think about how different it would feel. It's very unique to have social groups like this with such a diverse age range. That doesn't really happen in the real world that much. And if it does, people, especially younger people, might feel anxious or, things like that. But it's very interesting that, we have this diverse age group here in front of us, and there's no, it's just kind of an equal playing field for everybody. And it allows, I think, the wisdom of folks who are older to make a bigger impact on folks who might be younger, because there aren't those kind of, necessarily kind of discomforts or kind of, maybe some people get anxious because there's folks who are their parents' age, or things like that. So it really just allows, I think intergenerational is a really great term to describe, that elements of this intervention that can be very powerful as well. So we are kind of running out of time. This has been really fantastic. I think I see Cecil had something quick to add, and then I think we can start heading towards wrapping up. This has been a really fantastic conversation, and really kind of blown away my expectations of what this was going to be. I had some stuff, but everyone on the panel has been fantastic and contributing huge amount. We overcame tech issues, but we can head towards starting to wrap up as well. But yeah, Sensible Muse, were you going to add something as well on the topic of that we were discussing?
Yeah, in terms of the intergenerational, like I have sole custody of my daughter and live with my parents, and I have been in groups where I have spoken with people that are the same scenario my parents are in, and have been able to understand my parents more through them and their perspective, and they've been able to understand their adult children more through me and my perspective. And it's something I never expected to happen here. And Innerworld has been so great to me just in general, but that was an added bonus as well, because I've been through so much, and I have a hard time with my dad specifically, and I've learned so much on specific reasons that might be behind certain things he does, and other people have expressed that they've learned from me on with their adult children. So I just wanted to add that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, that you're able to,
Thanks.
you know, yeah, I think that's really fantastic. Diversity of age years. Well, fantastic.
Noah,
Well,
can I say something real quick?
sure.
My hand won't raise. You know, I have social anxiety, and when I first come in, I couldn't even barely walk out my door to get in my car, and was convinced that I could go to this store and go through it. And I got to the store and I was like, oh my goodness, I got in, but there was no way to get out. I didn't think I could get out. And I phone out and got on Innerworld through my phone, talked with the guide, and sat inside the store in an aisle, and went through a tool and got me up out of the store, back out in my car, and on my way home. Nowhere else can you do that but here. You know, I could have called a therapist or a counselor or whatever, but I don't think I'd have been able to get where I had gotten with just taking out the phone and going into Innerworld.
Yeah, they probably would have put you on hold or something.
Yeah.
Love you,
Wow.
Ella.
Thank you for sharing. And that's actually, we've heard that story several times that folks are using Innerworld on their phone. I think that's part of, you know, CBT and evidence-based tools. You know, there's one modality which is training therapists to make sure they're using the best evidence-based tools, and another option is putting those evidence-based tools in the hands of people so that they can access them and use them when they need, and democratize access so that they have access, you know, when you're in a grocery store and need it the most. And that's, I mean, therapists work with their patients to try to get them to be using tools out in the real world for weeks, sometimes months, to try to get them to that point using it. So it's really, really cool to hear that you were able to use a tool in real time, you know, and hopefully it sounds like it was also helpful in that moment. So thank you for sharing that. Yeah, Keen Amy, did you have something to add as well?
I know it's almost over. I just real quickly, if you have ideas or like, you know, your townhouse house meetings, or do you check your messaging at all, or is there a place we could our thoughts or ideas, or even if the panel has any information? I'm very interested in a lot of Steve Holland and all of you. Your wisdom and knowledge would be beneficial. I love getting growing in this field, especially CBT, about unlearning learned behaviors and such. So that's just my question. Is there a way that we can get some information and also give some ideas for Innerworld?
Yeah, the best place to do that, actually, now we've launched our own chat feature. So if you download Innerworld on an iPhone or a Mac or a PC, you'll see that we have a chat section and we have a feedback channel. So that's a really great place to start a conversation, and that's probably where I'll post some of the resources if folks share them with me from the panel. I can post that so that people can access it. Yeah, so just in closing, I'm wondering if each person on the panel can kind of summarize. I know that we were going to have each person kind of summarize their research and what they're doing. I think we've done a little bit of that through these great back and forth interactions and conversation. But maybe just kind of one or two key takeaways that you have from the panel so far, and just thinking about the impact of virtual environments on psychology, whether it be specifically trauma or, you know, changing folks' perspective or, you know, social connection. I'm just kind of curious if folks on the panel can kind of any kind of takeaways from this experience that you might have. Yeah, so I don't know if anyone wants to go first, but feel free, and yeah, we can just go around.
I'll start if nobody else is ready. This is Steve. Just say that if we've learned anything over the last 40, 50 years, it's that people helping people accounts for the biggest chunk of the variance in outcome. It makes a huge difference. And some things work better than others, but most of the things that work best are the kind of things we can do for each other.
Fantastic. Thank you, Steve. I saw Ione. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, thank you everyone for sharing. It really is just really intrinsically rewarding to hear from everyone's personal experiences and to keep on doing the work that we do, because we are doing this because we want to help others and improve the treatments that are here and just like the interventions that are available. And so this is very helpful not only to keep like myself motivated, honestly, like it's just wonderful to hear that it's working, but to keep doing better too. So great ideas for future research studies and improvements on current interventions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Ione.
Um, I'll share just a second. Oh, did I interrupt someone?
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that having been a fan of technology for a few years, I really think we would be remiss if we didn't do the thoughtful research to study how humans interact with technology and by proxy with each other. We have tremendous mental health needs in the real world. What the World Health Organization estimates, there's about 1 billion people walking the planet with a mental health condition, of which fully 2/3 will never see the inside of a therapist office. So maybe, applications like this and other techno apps that help bring people together or create experiences, craft experiences for people that are therapeutic. Maybe that's the part of the solution to reducing the underserved or non-served populations. It could really benefit from everything we learned in the previous 150 years in the study of psychology as a science. So I say, I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but I know we need to continue not being afraid to test things that leverage this and provide new opportunities.
Thank you, Skip. That's really, I completely agree. Yeah, Kim.
Well, first of all, just thank you all for your stories. I know that they will stick with me for the rest of today, and for the days to come. So thank you for all of that. That was the best part of all of this, I think, for me. And it was also very confirming about the power of social VR. And sometimes we get a lot of pushback. We submit grants all the time to try to get into schools to help kids, and we get so much pushback saying because people just don't understand what social VR is, especially at like the NIH and other, kind of those that are handing out the money. So this is just a reminder to me to keep pushing forward because I know we're doing the right thing by wanting to help kids and reaching kids, and I think this is a powerful way. So thank you for kind of reconfirming, especially because we just got rejected for something today, which you do all the time in academics, but this is just a reminder that I'm going to keep pushing forward. So thank you.
It's not a rejection.
Kim.
It's not yet an acceptance.
I like that.
So true.
Yes. That's what Steve told us when we didn't get the first grant. We just got that grant that we announced. And yeah, it was funny. That's what Steve told us the first time. So Ione and I were very excited to have that prove out to be true. Yeah, so, and thank you, Kim, for sharing that. I think, my major take from this, I have a couple, like one is, the community is everything. You are providing a profound life-changing experience for one another. And our guides are helping facilitate those experiences, but ultimately it's that peer support combined with the tools that I think is really having a great profound impact on folks. A second takeaway is that I think we need to do this more often, of having academics and clinical psychologists and psychologists come in to speak to the community. I think it's a very unique combination of folks with lived experience interacting with researchers and professionals. And I really do think that this can yield new research questions as well. I think people are less inhibited in this setting, and you really don't get this kind of interaction at an academic conference in quite the same way. So I'm really grateful for this opportunity and everyone on the panel for joining. And then the third thing, my last takeaway that was really surprising to me was the this theme that the I had to say this carefully, but there seems to be a theme of like the professional psychologists, the goal of new interventions that could in the future be adopted as the best way to do things. And so, Skip, especially when you mentioned that there was a lot of that there were a lot of naysayers, for example, when you proposed doing virtual exposure therapy, when now that's such a standard of intervention, that was shocking to me. And I had never thought about the fact that there might have been pushback at that time of introducing an intervention and different hypotheses about what works and what the effects might be. And just as we've heard folks, for example, who've reported that, you know, were contemplating suicide and harming themselves and came into Innerworld and found, you know, support and that social support. That's another example where, you know, folks who are at one end clinical, you know, who are in a certain clinical situation who, you know, is different from crisis intervention, which we don't provide in Innerworld. But, you know, some folks have said, oh, well, those individuals cannot come into Innerworld because they're too high risk or something like that. But look at these stories of profound change that are happening to folks. So I think there's this theme of discovering psychological interventions, figuring out what works, trying to make sure you do it in a safe way. But really, we can, I think, collaboratively come up with incredible interventions by having folks participate and, you know, doing the research as well to validate what works and what doesn't, even if it doesn't end up being accepted necessarily by the overall psychological community or, you know, by psychologists. I think that modalities, if there's the right evidence base behind them, you know, the evidence can speak for itself. So, yeah. So thank you so much for coming to this. I think that wraps up our first conference institute. And thank you to
I think that was
ISTSS as well
fantastic. Thank you
for
so much.
taking a chance.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
really
Thank you.
informative. Thank
Thank
you.
you all
This
for
is
being
great.
here.
Thank you. And the
Yeah,
panel, I'm just
thank
going
you.
to put us in one world. We're just going to debrief. So if you just hold on for a second. And thank you all so much to the community. Please feel free to hang out. We're just going to go to the world to wrap up. And there'll be some next steps coming out of this. So thank you all so much. And we hope to do this again soon.
Thanks,
Thank
Noah.
you,
Thank
everyone.
everyone.
Thanks,
Take
Noah,
care.
and everyone else.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys.
everyone.
Again. Bye.
Tusen takk.
See you later.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
Guys,
Yeah, I'm trying to send the folks. Yeah, if folks want to go to the comments, that'd be great, Carguy, for you to put down a poll.